Okay, for the first, let me introduce myself. My name is Reina Putri Azara, with NPM 2321220MV5. Now I want to explain about vowel sound. E produced by having the front part of the tongue high and front, so the lips are unrounded. These called vowels. In Indonesian sound system, the E is spelled either with E or A. For example, sedap tirai. E. Sound E is produced same as E, but the length is more shorter. In Indonesian has the same pronunciation. The sound U produced by having the back of the tongue high and back vowels, so the lips are rounded. In Indonesian sound system is similar, or for example, bumi means earth. The lips are produced although not as much as that for the English U. Sound U is produced same as U, but the length is more larger. In Indonesian system, there is this one U. There is not U in Indonesian sound system. Ear. The sound ear is a diphthong sound, which means it is a combination of two vowel sounds that are pronounced within the same syllable. Combination of vowels E and A in the Indonesian sound system there is not ear because Indonesian has a poor system for the combination of two or more vowel in syllable. A. The sound A, as in make in British and American, is the same. This diphthongs is a combination of the vowels A and E. In Indonesian system, there is not A. Eh. The sound eh is produced by having the front part of the tongue made and front, so the lips are unrounded. In Indonesian sound system has the same pronoun, for example, enteng, besok, sore. Oh, the sound produced by having the middle part of the tongue middle and central, the lips unrounded. In Indonesian sound system, only one sound A, like the example from enteng, besok, sore. The sound produced by having a high central lex vowels. In the Indonesian sound system, there is not oh. The sound produced by having the back of the tongue made and back. The lips are rounded. In Indonesian sound system, it sounds O, for example, bola. O. This diphthong is a combination of the vowels U and O. There is not O in Indonesian sound system.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Muhammad Fansi Megantara. Today I'm gonna explain some phonetics in British accent. Number one is oi, as in boy, is produced by having your tongue moves from a low mid-back position to a mid-high front position, and your lips move from rounded to unrounded. In the Indonesian sound system, there is no oi. And the second one is O, as in hello, is produced by having your mouth moves from the totally relaxed or slack mouth position of A to the rounded position of O, while the O sound is made. In the Indonesian sound system, there is no O. Number three is A, as in cat, is produced by position of tongue low in your mouth and shift it toward the front. In the Indonesian sound system, there is no A. And next is A, as in cut, is produced by having your tongue low and between the middle and the back of your mouth. Then make a short voice sound with your mouth open. In the Indonesian sound system, there is no A. Next is A, A, as in calm. To produce the sound, put your tongue low and at the back of your mouth. Then make a long voice sound with your mouth open. In the Indonesian sound system, there is no A. And next is O, as in hot. To produce the sound, put your tongue low and at the back of your mouth and lightly push your lips together while making a short voice sound. In the Indonesian sound system, O does not exist. Next is air, as in where. you say the air sound, your mouth will start on the position of the A sound and finish on the position of the R sound. In the Indonesian sound system, there is no air. Next is I. The I sound is a combination of A and I, or I. Sounds are all made through the mouth and are voiced as you vibrate your vocal cords to make the sound. In the Indonesian sound system, I is diphthong. For example, pakai. Next is O. O is a diphthong sound, which means it is a combination of two vowel sounds that are pronounced within the same syllable. In the Indonesian sound system, O is diphthong. For example, harimau. Consonant. First one is P. To produce this sound, bring both of your lips together and build up some pressure in your mouth, then release it. It's same as inophenol, for example, pasar. Next is P. To produce the sound, bring both of your lips together, and build up some pressure in your mouth, then release it whilst voicing out at the same time. It's same as inophenol, for example, besar.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, my name is Zaki Muhammad Abdu with last 3-digit student number 062. Here I will present about some consonant in phonetics and phonology. The production of sounds. The first consonant T. Consonant T is one of the 6 English plosives. It is described as an alveolar voiceless plosive. When T is produced, a total structure is formed by 2 articulators moving against each other, from which no air is released from the vocal tract. For example, in Indonesian, tahun. The sound D is voiced alveolar stop consonant. Touch your alveolar ridge, the hard space behind your upper teeth. The hard behind your upper teeth with the tip of your tongue. For the example, in Indonesian, daging. To make the ch sound, place the tip of your tongue just behind the hard ridge at the front of the top of your mouth. Push air forward out of your mouth. Stop the air completely at first and then release it. After release, the air should create friction between the tip of your tongue and the roof of your mouth. Don't vibrate your vocal cords when you make this sound. It is voiceless. For the example in English, chicken, and for the example in Indonesian, cacing. The consonant G is a voiced alveolabial affricate consonant. Press the middle of your tongue between your alveolar ridge and your soft palate. Quickly move your tongue downward while forcefully pushing air out. The air in your mouth should stop before it is released. It is like combining a D and Ch. Your vocal cords should vibrate. For the example, judge, and for the example in Indonesian, jerapah. K. K. Ki. Ki is typically made with the back of tongue placed on the velum, the soft part with the jaw dropped, air builds up behind the tongue and is released when the sound is made. For the example, class, I mean. And for the example in Indonesian, kaleng. For the example, ge. Ge is typically made with the back of the tongue placed on the velum, the soft part of the roof of the mouth. Teeth are the part with the jaw dropped. Air builds up behind the tongue and is released when the sound is made. The voice is on. The vocal cords are vibrating. For the example, glass. And for the example in Indonesian, garuk. The F sound. The F sound made through the mouth and it is unvoiced, which means that you don't use your vocal cords to make the sound. It is defined by the position of your lips and teeth, and it's a fricative, which is a sound that is produced by high pressure airflow between a narrow space in the mouth. For the example, food. And for the example in Indonesian, the name Fahmi. And the next, the V sound made through the mouth and is voiced, which means that you vibrate your vocal cords to make the sound. For the example, van. And for the example in Indonesian, Vatican. The next is the sounds is made through the mouth and it is unvoiced, which means that you don't use your vocal cords to make the sound. For the example, throw. And for the Indonesian, tetangga. The next, the sounds is made through the mouth and it is voiced, which means that you vibrate your vocal cords to make the sound. For the example, though. For the example in Indonesian, donut. Donut. The next is to produce clear S. To produce a clear S sound, the tongue is raised high in the mouth to almost touch the alveolar ridge, the roof of the mouth. For the example, sing. For the example in Indonesian, siang. Thanks, that's all from me. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
The next one is z. To produce this sound, the front of the tongue is placed close to the tooth ridge. The tip of the tongue should be close to the upper back side of the top front teeth. The tongue is kept tense as air is pushed between a small groove along the center of the tip of the tongue and the front of the tooth ridge. The front sides of the tongue touch the side teeth toward the front of the mouth. The lips are held slightly tense during the sound. For example, zoo, zoo. In Indonesian, for example, is zaman, zaman. Next is sh. The sound is made through the mouth and it is unvoiced, which means that you don't use your vocal cords to make the sound. So it is defined by the shape of our tongue and the position of the teeth, and it is a sibilant, which is a sound made by directing a stream of air with the tongue towards the sharp edge of the teeth. For example, shoe, shoe. In Indonesian, for example, is syair, syair. Next one is z, z. The phoneme is made through the mouth and it is voiced, which means that you vibrate your vocal cords to make the sound. So, the sound made by directing a stream of air with the tongue towards the sharp edge of the teeth. To produce this sound, we clench our teeth together lightly and pull the tongue away from them, then push air through them while it's voicing out. For example, vision, vision. In Indonesian, we don't have this phoneme, but instead we have the. So we add a little d in there. For example, jurang, jurang. Next one is To produce this sound, we just simply pressing the lips together lightly. For example, zoom, zoom. In Indonesian, for example, kaum, kaum. The next one is To create this sound, the air is blocked from leaving the mouth by pressing the tip against the tooth ridge and the sides of the front of the tongue against the side teeth. The soft palate drops, allowing air to pass out through the nose. The sound is voiced, so the vocal cords vibrate while producing it. For example, sun, sun. In Indonesian, for example, simpan, simpan. The next one is The lips part and the back part of the tongue stretches all the way up to the soft palate. The tongue tip is forward because the soft palate is lowered. Air comes up through the nasal passages. For example, going, going. In Indonesian, for example, paling, paling. The next one is This sound is simply made by just sigh, by passing out through a very slightly constricted passage, either between the tongue and the roof of the mouth or in the throat. This is a non-voiced consonant. For example, heavy, heavy. In Indonesian, for example, habis, habis. The next one is To produce the sound, we just press the tip of the tongue against the back of the upper teeth and voice out through our mouth. Sometimes it is helpful to curl the sides of your tongue upward. So, love, love. In Indonesian, for example, lumayan, lumayan. The next one is To make this sound, the mouth it's voiced. This means that we use our vocal cords. So It is an approximant, which is a sound made by making a narrow space in our mouth through which air flows. For example, red, red. In Indonesian, we flap the R. For example, rumah, rumah. So in Indonesian, we flap it. Unfortunately, I'm erotic, so I can pronounce long R in Indonesian clearly. The next one is wu, wu, wu. This sound is made through the mouth and it is also voiced, which means we vibrate our vocal cords to make the sound. So it is an approximate sound, which is a sound made by creating a narrow space in our mouth through which air flows. For example, wet, wet. In Indonesian, for example, waktu, waktu. The next one is j, j, j. The sound is made through the mouth and it is also voiced, so which means we vibrate our vocal cords to make the sound. So this is an approximant too, and it's a sound by creating narrow space in our mouth through which air flows. For example, usual, usual. Unfortunately, Indonesian doesn't have this phoneme. Alright, that is all I can say, and thank you.
Audio Jungle.